Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. Welcome to Guitar Daily. So today what I thought I'd talk about is the John Scofield tune called Hottentot. Pretty cool song. I really always enjoyed this song. It's a good groove kind of tune, but it's got some interesting changes. One of the things I find with a lot of funk music is, there's a lot of one chord jams, that sort of stuff, which is great. But often there's not a lot of harmony, and that's what I enjoy about this song. So I'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, it starts as essentially B flat 7 sharp 9. It's the main kind of groove chord. I include the chart, which is Sco's handwritten one, but it doesn't really work very well here, does it, to try and play that Hendrix chord, and this doesn't work. Well, it's just too high. So really the place to play it is here. So we have B flat, D, A flat, and D flat, which would be the same notes if it was here, just on another set of strings. And I think that's probably what Sco does. Let's get rid of that today. That basic groove, right? And then you have the melody line, right, which is kind of based off the pentatonic, right, pretty straightforward. And then that was an interesting kind of phrase. Starts on the 4th. It kind of has this little suspenseful thing about it, to me at least anyway. All pentatonic, right? And then the B section of the tune, right? Essentially that. So F, E, E flat, down to G flat, and it's the chords here that are interesting, right? Starts with the same B flat, 7 sharp 9, but there's definitely a dynamic lift, so you know it's the B section. Right, it's your first chord. Right, your second chord is a G13 over B flat. I don't really even hear the G note in that myself. To me, it's more like, maybe it's in there, I don't know. I just hear it's really those 3 notes, F, B, E, but over that B flat. That's quite a tension type sound. And I'll explain how I kind of approach that chord in a moment. And then it's G flat minor 6, right, over B flat. And then the next chord is the one that's kind of interesting because it's the sus chord. And it's like A flat sus, so in other words, G flat over A flat. And it's kind of an interesting thing because that would normally imply maybe we're going to go to D flat. But we're not, we're going to the B flat, right? But also, it's a bright chord and amongst those real tensiony things. It's like a little release before, we're back to more tension, right? So tension. And then release. Right, it's kind of a interesting sort of take, isn't it, to have the release at the end of the phrase, because, you know, otherwise if it was a 4th tension chord, it would just be a little much, right? So approaches to soloing on this. If you haven't seen my video I've done previously about playing on 1 chord vamps, that would be really useful right now. But a lot of that stuff I'm kind of going to reiterate because it's good stuff to use here. So I would think like pentatonic, of course, right? That's going to work. Blues scale. Right? And then, of course, I would start to think about all the other chords that are connecting with it. So, like F altered, right? Now, I did a video on altered scale, so if you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. But I'm essentially implying a 5 back to a 1. There is no 5 chord, it's just B flat, but I'm implying it. And all things. Now the key thing to that is you have to resolve. If you don't resolve, it just sounds like a bunch of wrong notes, right? And sometimes, I mean, one of the things that I do use a bit is like that F7 sharp 9. If we think about its parallel chord is B13, right? They're the same thing, right? B, Lydian dominant, and F altered, same set of notes. So I'll actually think that way about it. Think B. Play Lydian dominant. And again, key thing is to resolve. You don't resolve, it just sounds like wrong notes. Some other things I do too is I quite like to kind of look at 2-5-1s. So I'll put the 2 in front of it. In this case, I think a minor 2-5 works better because it's that altered thing, right? And then all kind of things that relate to that. Maybe I'll be like, right? Anything like that you can imagine. Right? That's all pretty straightforward. Then when we get to the B section, B flat, 7 sharp 9, same as before, right? And then this G13 thing, right? As I said, I don't really hear it with the G in there anywhere. It's really that. To me, doesn't really kind of cut it to just play G Lydian, G mixer Lydian. I prefer, there's a note I'm going to hit like a lot. It's that E note, right? I'm going to make a big point about that because that's one of the key things. It's in the melody and it's something that I want to establish. So I'm going to play that at some point, right? That's my one of my target notes. Another one that I'm going to look at is, what I'm thinking is Lydian dominant on that one as well. Right, and then the next chord, F sharp or G flat minor 6, F sharp minor 6, whichever way you want to look at that, of a B flat. The way I look at that is to actually just think a straight A flat triad. Right, that's going to get the 6 that I want to hit, essentially. The flat 5 and then the 9th. It's actually a cool movement to get you into the next chord, right? So I use that quite a bit. The triad. But also, I mean, you could just go straight to F sharp Dorian. But a better way to think about F sharp Dorian is, instead of thinking that, essentially it's just the same notes as A Lydian. So I'll think that way about it. That's kind of an easy one to go through from B flat. So that, and then I'm... And then the next one is G flat over A flat. So on a chord like that, I would just think G flat. Or major, you know, could be that. The F's actually a really nice note to have in there, so G flat major 7 or G flat major, or major pentatonic actually works really good in this instance. And again, I'm going back to the B flat. So this tune poses a bunch of very interesting things. The other thing I forgot to mention too is on that chord there, sometimes I'll just play that, right? I'm implying it's not really there, but there's a logic to thinking 5 to 1, right? So you can see out of this tune, there's some really interesting things. And then of course, chromaticism really works well in this kind of context, because you've got things like, if I go... something like that, then it's just kind of creating these, again, tension sounds. It's kind of throwing caution to the wind a little bit, if you will, you know. It's quite a cool kind of concept to do that. But any kind of chromaticism. So even if you know this, right, go. Side slipping, of course. Again, check out that video about the one called Vamp thing that I did. You know, side slipping something I use quite a bit. Essentially just playing down a semitone and resolving back up. So in this case, I'll play A pentatonic going back into B flat pentatonic, that kind of stuff. Chordal voicings, fourths work really well. Again, I'm pretty sure I've done a video on chordal voicings. If I haven't, let me know. I'll cover that at some point. But they're essentially just the chords stacked fourths, and then you put it in the key. Sort of a Mike Knock type thing. So those work really well over the B flat thing as well. And in that case, I'm actually just thinking B flat minor 7, because I don't necessarily, even though it's a sharp 9 chord, I don't necessarily have to have the third as well as the flat third. I'll just have the flat third. Right. Again. Does that make sense? Anyway, I hope you found this useful. That was Hottentot, John Scofield, one of my favourite guitar players. A great man too. I've met him a bunch of times and hung out. And he's somebody who is... I toured New Zealand with him when he was here. Got to spend maybe 4 or 5 days with him touring through here, and I learnt so much out of that. Just, about how to kind of conduct yourself, to how to play, how to practice, how to warm up, how to kind of be a musician. You know what I mean? He's a real influence on me, and hopefully on you too, and everyone. He's a great man. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody tuning in to Guitar Daily. I do videos every day on YouTube, so subscribe if you haven't, so you don't miss anything. Otherwise, I'll just see you tomorrow. Cheers.